Have you ever avoided doing something you love because you were worried about what others might think? Well, let me share a shocking truth. It's not just a habit, it's holding you back, and it's costing you more than you think. A 74-year-old woman I know once told me, "I always hold back thinking people will judge me for my choices. But what if that fear is stealing the most precious years of your life?" Pause for effect. Stay with me because in the next few minutes I'm going to reveal why seniors like you, over 65, need to stop worrying about what others think and how you can start living life on your terms. If you've been living your life for others, constantly worrying about their opinions, judgments, and expectations, it's time to break free. Imagine how much more fulfilling your days could be if you stopped holding back, stopped second-guessing your every move, and started doing what really matters to you. Trust me, it's more than possible, it's essential. Did you know that many seniors spend their entire lives trying to meet the expectations of others? It's true. In fact, studies show that by the time you reach 65, you've likely spent 50 years worrying about fitting in, pleasing others, and conforming to societal standards. And guess what? It doesn't get any easier as we age. But here's the hard truth. Worrying about others' opinions is actually hurting your mental and physical health. The pressure to fit in, the constant judgment, it all takes its toll. And I'm sure you've experienced it in your own life. Maybe it's the fear of your family thinking you're too old to do that. Or maybe it's the voice in your head telling you not to travel, try something new, or meet new people because it's too late for that. Are you still trying to live up to the expectations of family, friends, or society? Maybe it's time to stop. Here, why? 1. The burden of living for others. Living your life for others might seem harmless at first, but it's slowly eroding your happiness and peace of mind. Let me explain how this works by introducing you to Frank, a 68-year-old retiree. Frank had always prided himself on dressing in a way that he believed was appropriate for his age. He wore stiff suits that were designed to look formal and respectable, as society often dictates. However, every time Frank put on those clothes, something didn't feel right. He didn't feel comfortable, he didn't feel like himself, yet he did it anyway. The reason? Frank thought he had to conform to expectations. His family, friends, and society wanted him to dress a certain way to maintain an image of propriety. For him, it wasn't about what made him happy or comfortable. It was about meeting others' standards for what an elderly person should look like. At first, Frank didn't think much of it. After all, he was just following what others thought was best for him. But over time, he began to feel a nagging sense of dissatisfaction. His clothes became a symbol of a life spent suppressing his own desires. It was never about what Frank wanted. It was about what was expected of him, and he started to feel more and more disconnected from his own happiness. The longer he kept up this facade, the more disconnected he became from his own sense of self. It wasn't just about clothes either. Frank found himself always second-guessing his choices, constantly worrying if his behavior and actions were age-appropriate. Did his grandchildren think he was trying too hard when he tried to stay active? Did his friends think he was too old to take up new hobbies like photography or cycling? This constant internal battle was taking a toll on Frank's happiness, but more troublingly, it began to affect his health. Living for others meant that Frank was constantly stressed, and that stress began to show in ways he couldn't ignore. Studies show that stress, especially the kind that comes from constantly worrying about other people's opinions, can have serious consequences on your physical and mental health. Stress activates the body's fight or flight response, which triggers the release of cortisol, the stress hormone. While cortisol is necessary for our survival in small doses, chronic stress from trying to meet external expectations leads to its prolonged release. This constant influx of cortisol has been linked to a variety of health problems, including headaches, difficulty sleeping, high blood pressure, and heart disease. For Frank, the results of this stress were becoming undeniable. He found himself feeling drained all the time, no matter how much rest he got. His energy levels were low, and he noticed he wasn't as sharp as he used to be. He began having trouble sleeping, tossing and turning through the night, unable to get a peaceful rest. His doctor told him that the stress of living for others was likely contributing to his fatigue and inability to unwind. It's not just Frank. Many of us feel the burden of societal expectations, especially as we age. As seniors, we often feel a responsibility to act in a way that is considered appropriate for our age, whether that means dressing a certain way, behaving in a reserved manner, or limiting our activities to what others deem acceptable. But what we don't realize is that this way of living can slowly suffocate our joy and vitality. The longer we try to fit into a mold that isn't true to who we are, the more disconnected we become from the person we truly are inside. This constant effort to meet others' expectations can also damage your immune system. The prolonged release of cortisol weakens your body's ability to fight off illness, leaving you more vulnerable to infections and diseases. It's no surprise that Frank started feeling physically unwell. His body was under constant stress, and the toll it took on him was evident. So how did Frank break free from this cycle? The solution didn't come in a dramatic overnight change. It started with a simple yet profound decision. He began dressing in clothes that made him feel comfortable and at ease instead of those stiff, formal suits that he thought he was supposed to wear. It wasn't about trying to impress anyone, it was about choosing his comfort over others' judgments. This small change in his wardrobe made a big difference in his mental and emotional well-being. As Frank embraced comfort and personal expression, something shifted inside of him. He felt more at peace, more authentic, and more confident in his own skin. He stopped worrying about fitting into a box created by society and started focusing on what truly made him happy. His energy levels improved, he started sleeping better, and he found himself more engaged in the activities he enjoyed. What can you take away from Frank's story? If you've been living your life to please others or to meet societal expectations, now is the time to make a change. Start small by doing something every day that feels right for you. It might be as simple as choosing clothes that make you feel comfortable or speaking your mind when you have something to say, rather than holding back to avoid judgment. Remember, the only person you need to impress is you. Your happiness and peace of mind are yours to claim. You have the power to live authentically and on your own terms, regardless of what others think. So ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that will bring me more joy and comfort? Start with that and watch how it transforms your life. Living for yourself instead of living for others is a choice you can make today. And with each small step you take, you'll find that the pressure to conform begins to lift, and your health, both mentally and physically, will thank you. 2. Fear of judgment leads to missed opportunities. Carol, a vibrant 72-year-old woman, had always loved painting. She would spend hours in her living room, her easel set up beside a window where the sunlight filtered in just right. But despite her passion, Carol never showed anyone her artwork. Why? She was terrified that others would think she was too old to be creative. The thought of her friends or family seeing her paintings and thinking, "Isn't she too old for this?" held her back every time. She would keep her creations hidden, rolling them up and storing them out of sight. The fear of being judged paralyzed her. Here's the thing, that fear of judgment kept Carol from experiencing the joy of sharing her passion with others. She was so consumed with worrying about how people would perceive her as an elderly woman taking up painting that she never allowed herself to fully enjoy the process. And the worst part, years went by, and Carol was left wondering what could have been. What would have happened if she just allowed herself to be brave enough to share her work? Carol spent countless hours telling herself, "I'm not good enough for this," or "Who would want to see my paintings?" She allowed these thoughts of inadequacy and self-doubt to rule her actions. It's easy to understand why this happens. Fear of judgment is something many seniors experience, especially when it comes to trying something new or engaging in creative activities. For some, it's the fear that others might not see them as appropriate for certain hobbies. Or worse, the fear that society will label them as too old, too out of touch, or not capable of starting something new. Sound familiar? For many seniors, the fear of judgment doesn't just keep them from doing something they love, it prevents them from even starting. They might think that at their age, it's too late to try new things or that they're not good enough to succeed. Carol was one of those people, and she missed years of potential growth as an artist simply because she was afraid of being judged. But here's the problem with letting fear of judgment control your life. It steals your opportunity for fulfillment. According to experts, suppressing your true self leads to a deep sense of unfulfillment, especially as we age. We begin to feel that we've missed our chance to live fully. But here's something you might not know. Pursuing hobbies and creative activities has been shown to significantly boost happiness and mental health in seniors. The National Institute on Aging reports that engaging in activities like painting, writing, or even learning an instrument can combat feelings of loneliness and isolation while boosting cognitive function. These activities allow us to stay mentally sharp, improve our emotional well-being, and connect with a sense of purpose, regardless of our age. Carol wasn't aware of all the benefits that creativity could bring her, but eventually something clicked. She realized that her self-doubt and fear of being judged were robbing her of an opportunity to do something she loved. And one day, after much contemplation, Carol decided to take a leap of faith. She joined a local art class, not knowing exactly what to expect, but knowing it was time to stop hiding her talent. At first, she was nervous, but with time, Carol found that the joy of painting far outweighed the fear of what others might think. And here, where things took a turn for the better, Carol started displaying her artwork at local community events. She couldn't believe how freeing it felt to finally share what she'd created with the world. The response was overwhelmingly positive. People were not only impressed by her skill, but moved by the emotion and soul that poured through her paintings. Carol realized something powerful. The judgment she feared was mostly in her head. Most of the time, people are too focused on their own lives to judge someone else for doing what they love. And even if someone does judge, that's on them, not on her. Now Carol isn't just painting, she's thriving. Her self-confidence has grown, and she has gained a sense of fulfillment that she never thought possible. What started as a fear of judgment transformed into an exciting, new chapter of her life. Carol learned that the real joy comes from doing what you love, regardless of what others think. The act of sharing her creativity with the world gave her more happiness than she could have imagined. So what can you take from Carol's story? The lesson here is simple. Don't let the fear of judgment stop you from pursuing what you love. Whatever your passion, whether it's singing, painting, dancing, traveling, or learning a new skill, don't let the fear of what others think stop you from doing it. Yes, it can be hard to step outside your comfort zone, especially when it feels like people will judge you for it, but you'll never know what you're capable of until you try. Start small. If you've always wanted to try painting, sign up for a class. If you've been thinking about traveling but feel like it's too late, start planning a small trip. If you've always loved singing but are afraid people will judge your voice, sing in the privacy of your home first, or join a choir that encourages people of all abilities. The key is to take the first step. It's never too late to try something new, and you might just surprise yourself with how fulfilling it can be. So ask yourself this: what's one thing you've always wanted to do but have held back because of fear of judgment? Today is the day to make a change. It's time to step out of your comfort zone and start living for yourself, not for what others think. 3. How worrying about others affects your health. Remember Joe, a 70-year-old who avoided social gatherings because he feared others would judge him for his weight. He kept to himself, feeling isolated and alone. Unfortunately, that fear made him more depressed, and the loneliness only made things worse. He missed out on family events, friendships, and the chance to truly live his golden years. And as Joe's isolation grew, so did his health problems. His doctor told him that his social isolation could be contributing to his high blood pressure and poor mental health. The Mayo Clinic notes that loneliness is as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Research shows that social isolation increases the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, and even cognitive decline. The Mayo Clinic notes that loneliness is as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Joe made a shift. Instead of worrying about how others might view him, he started focusing on how he felt. He joined a local walking group, started going to community dinners, and began focusing on positive self-talk. And as his social life improved, so did his health. Joe lost weight, his blood pressure dropped, and he felt happier than ever. The more he embraced who he was, the more his health flourished. Don't let fear keep you isolated. Attend a local group, make a phone call, or simply go for a walk in the park. Your mental and physical health will thank you. Being around others who accept you for who you are is essential to maintaining not just your social life but your health as well. 4. The illusion of appropriate age behavior. As we age, society often tells us to act our age. But here, the secret: there's no such thing as appropriate age behavior. Take Nancy, a 69-year-old grandmother who had always been told that dancing was for the young. But one day she decided to join a local dance class. She loved it. She didn't care anymore about how others saw her. And guess what? She found a new love for life. Dancing brought her energy, joy, and a deeper connection to her community. The truth is, staying active and engaged is vital for your health at any age. According to the American Geriatric Society, seniors who engage in activities they enjoy have better mental health, increased mobility, and improved longevity. Nancy's confidence grew as she embraced this new hobby, and she began attending more community events, meeting new people, and challenging herself in ways she hadn't in years. She wasn't just moving her body, she was moving her heart and mind in a more fulfilling direction. Find something that brings you joy. It could be dancing, hiking, or even learning a new instrument. Age should never limit what you do or how you live. Doing what excites you keeps you vibrant and healthy, both physically and mentally. Stay with me because I'm about to share the most important mindset shift you can make right now to stop worrying about others and start living your best life. Before we dive in though, comment "I am enough" below if you're still with me. It's a powerful affirmation to remind yourself of your worth. And if you know someone who needs this message, share it with them. It might just change their life. Now you might be thinking, but this is easier said than done, and I understand. It's not easy to break free from years of worrying about what others think. But here's the truth: by making small, consistent changes, you can start living for yourself. It's time to stop living for others and start embracing who you are at this stage of life, because let me tell you, the best years are still ahead of you. Recap key takeaways. Start small with actions that feel true to you. Challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone. Embrace your authentic self. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend who needs to hear this, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips on how to live your best life after 65. You deserve it.